station, a unified message around the world tonight: justice now for families who lost loved ones 3 years ago in flight PS 752. The passenger plane full of people heading to Canada shot down over Iran.
Sufi, Emami, 5.
And it's now very hard just living with some photos and memories.
Honoring the lives lost and demanding accountability. We'll hear from the Prime Minister about what Canada is doing and whether the Iranian community feels it's enough. Plus,
to dismantle a building such like this would really be criminal.
a doctor and residents petition after a developer proposes knocking down a long-standing medical building to put up a condo tower. And
this place is absolutely going wild.
Damar Hamlin is recovering after that terrifying scene last week when he went into cardiac arrest on the field. How the Buffalo Bills did during their first game back.
This is CBC Late Night News.
You're looking at a candlelight vigil tonight at Mel Lastman Square in Toronto. It's become a gathering place for the Iranian community. Tonight, families who lost loved ones in the downed flight PS 752 on this day 3 years ago coming together to grieve. The passenger plane full of people heading to Canada was shot down over Iran. 176 people died in that crash. Their loved ones still demanding accountability from that country. As Lisa Shing shows us, they came together to mourn and remember and hear directly from the Prime Minister about what Canada is doing.
Sufi, Emami, 5.
A list of names of those who died, the pain of their loss still hard to bear.
And it's now very hard just living with some photos and memories.
Javed Soldemani and his wife Elnaz were both PhD students. She was on her way back to Canada after a visit home.
After 3 years, I'm here with the pain which is still fresh.
In January 2020, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps shot down Ukraine International Airlines Flight 752. All 176 people on board died. On this anniversary, across the country, events honoring the victims whose loved ones have been fighting for accountability ever since. Many hope mass protests in Iran now against the regime could one day bring an independent trial. At the graves of his wife and daughter, Hamid Ismailian renewed his vow.
We have no other option. From day one, we just focused on finding the truth and seeking justice, and we are not going to give up.
The victims' families want Canada to list the IRGC as a terrorist organization. Ottawa says that could harm innocent people. Ahead of a ceremony in Toronto, pleas for justice went right to the Prime Minister.
We need your action.
At the end of December, Canada, along with the UK, Ukraine, and Sweden, started a process to hold the Iranian regime legally responsible for their actions, to enter into binding arbitration. It has 6 months to comply, and if it doesn't, they can take the regime to the International Court of Justice.
While financial reparations aren't a guarantee, the process could give new insight into what happened.
We need closure in order to heal. And Iran's refusal to be held accountable is denying you that.
We'll freeze assets. We will seize their assets. Canada will never be a safe harbor for RG officials.
Steps forward, but coming too slowly for many who have been waiting for years without answers. Lisa Shing, CBC News, Toronto.
For the victims' families, the last 3 years have been a constant reminder of the absence of their loved ones. They've been fighting for answers while still very much in pain. We spoke to a Toronto-based psychotherapist. She's been working with some of the families.
And we're talking about prolonged, complicated grief, and there are certain reasons for that. One is because it's been so violent, it's been a tragic loss, it's been sudden. So there had been no preparation for any family members to know that they're going to lose somebody because the perpetrator is unpunished, because there has been no justice, because there is some layer of discrimination felt by the families.
She says this anniversary, along with the unrest and ongoing protests sparked by the death of Mahsa Amini, have a great psychological impact on the Iranian-Canadian community.
In a sense, you know, if you want to look at it from a psychological, social perspective, we're all victims in a sense. And also we're talking about, you know, atrocities in the sense that people are being detained, executed, sham trials, unpredictable, you know, procedures going on. Nobody can even predict what might be waiting for you. So these are all traumas, you know, little traumas that we've been dealing with, and it's been ongoing for decades now.
Still ahead, we'll hear from two special guests who were in Toronto today to mark the anniversary. Masih Alinjet and Nazanin Baniadi are both prominent human rights activists. They share what this day represents to them a little later on in our show. In other news, we have a warning tonight from the OPP for people in the Muskoka and Simcoe region about a potentially deadly strain of opioids. 4 people died of suspected overdoses in the past week alone. They said fentanyl can be lethal in very small quantities, and it's impossible to recognize because you cannot taste, see, or smell it. If you witness any of the symptoms listed on your screen, like difficulty walking and talking, or blue lips or nails, call 911 immediately. Some residents in Toronto's Yonge and St. Clair neighborhood are coming together against a proposal to knock down a long-standing medical building. Developers want to put up a new condo tower. As Meg Roberts shows us, they're asking the city and province to step in.
For the past 9 years, Dr. Carolyn Newman has treated patients at the Balmoral Medical Facility in Midtown.
I love working here. Yes, I do.
But she's concerned her days here are over. A developer has bought the building and plans on demolishing the medical center, home to dozens of healthcare professionals, to create residential space.
To dismantle a building such like this would really be criminal. It would actually affect healthcare in a big way in a very, very large area.
The building is home to physiotherapists, family and specialty doctors, dentists, and a pharmacy. It's located steps away from a subway stop in a residential neighborhood, making it accessible for patients with mobility challenges. This patient and local community advocate says it would be devastating to lose these kind of healthcare services.
A lot of these patients, as Dr. Newman said, are old, they're on walkers, canes, wheelchairs. They can't go to other destinations. It just makes a very difficult healthcare situation that much worse.
The councillor for the ward says there's not much the city can do, as the Ontario Land Tribunal gets the final say. He says the city's in communication with Bazis Real Estate Development and is encouraging them to find a temporary home for the medical facility during construction while saving space for offices in the new build.
If the developer is wise, they will work with us so that they can also be proud of the legacy that they leave behind.
In the meanwhile, a petition has started. Newman has posted it in her office. It now has more than 3,000 signatures.
We are going to try and fight this. We feel that if, municipal and provincial governments are really serious about healthcare, that they will not allow any proposal that will dismantle or demolish this building and send the rest of us scattering.
Meg Roberts, CBC News, Toronto.
Kabir Bagaria is back with us tonight. You know, you were talking about sunshine yesterday. I was waiting for that.
I know, Shannon, you know what? We're going to keep talking about sunshine.
Okay, good.
We got glimpses of it today, but very, very little. And we will continue to see this in the coming days. So don't worry, Shannon. Let's go ahead and talk a bit about what we can be seeing going into our Monday morning. And that is going to include some possible sunny breaks on your morning commute, more cloud cover moving in overnight, and then continuing into our Tuesday. Of course, I did mention this yesterday, but just in case you missed it, the last time we had a sunny day here on the Golden Horseshoe in the city of Toronto was, of course, on the 21st of December. So we'll be seeing a mix of sun and cloud, of course, for our Monday. That's going to continue. This is a bit of what our cloud cover is going to be looking like, but I wanted to mention your overnight temperatures -5 for the city of Toronto, -6 for Barrie, and of course, as we go into our day tomorrow, 3 degrees with some nice sunny skies.
Okay, thanks, Kabir. We'll see you shortly.
See you.
Head into a pharmacy across the province and you might be hard-pressed to find cold and flu medication. Health Canada confirms it's aware of, quote, elevated demand and supply constraints. It's something pharmacists see firsthand, so let's bring in Jen Belcher. She's with the Ontario Pharmacy Association. Thank you so much for being with us on a Sunday evening.
Thank you for having me.
You know, this is by no means a new situation. We've seen trouble with supply with kids' medication, but even before the holidays, anecdotally, we were hearing adults complaining about low cold and flu supplies. So what have your members been seeing, and can you try to help us understand the why part of it?
Absolutely. So pharmacies have been having intermittent trouble getting resupply of these medications throughout 2022, but it has been especially bad with the respiratory virus season we've been having in the winter. Ultimately, that's led to being at the point where we have very limited, if any, options on what to reorder to replenish any stock that we may have had to sell. And this is really due to exceptionally high demand as compared to previous years at unseasonable times, as well as carrying that forward into our typical respiratory virus season.
You know, when we think of this situation, we know that Health Canada is aware of the issue, but we're still very much in the middle of cold and flu season. What would you like to see going forward to address the shortage?
I'd like to see pharmacy voices at the table when we talk about policy around things like drug supply, and really looking at what we're doing here in Canada to incentivize manufacturing domestically, as well as making Canada an attractive market for international imports. As well, I'd like to see a lot more transparency and forward notice for pharmacists to be able to communicate these sorts of upcoming supply challenges to their patients and to be able to plan for that, because it creates a significant workload for us.
Yeah, to hear directly from pharmacists would be helpful. Just very quickly, if you could give advice to people who are driving around to multiple pharmacies or grocery stores trying to find this medication, but they can't, what would you tell them?
So talk to your pharmacist or healthcare provider, because there are other medications that are currently available that can help treat the specific symptoms that you're looking to make more comfortable. For example, plain Advil or Tylenol can be used for things like headaches, sore throat, as well as other non-drug measures that you can take to be more comfortable. So depending on what's bothering you the most, talk to your pharmacy team, and they'll often be able to recommend an alternative for you in the moment.
Thank you so much, Jen. A little bit of relief that we can offer people tonight. Thank you so much. That's Jen Belcher. She's with the Ontario Pharmacy Association.
Thank you.
In other news, Uber Eats is now delivering booze from the LCBO. Customers 19 and over can order wine, spirits, and beer directly to their doorsteps. People will have to confirm their age at the door, and those making the deliveries will have to be Smart Serve certified. Mothers Against Drunk Driving is a partner in the program. They released a statement saying even one drink is one too many, so now if they need something, they can have it delivered right to their door rather than taking the risk of driving to the store impaired. Some restaurant owners, however, have concerns.
Families are reluctant to come in, so I'm not sure what the winter will bring, but this was really bad timing to do this to us for takeout and delivery, because we are so heavily weighted in that favor. So why do this alliance now and put us at a disadvantage once again?
She says about 75% of her business is takeout orders, and she's concerned they won't be able to compete with the LCBO since restaurants must sell food with booze. A heads up, if you take the GO train, you may want to get to the platform a bit earlier tomorrow. Starting Monday morning, train doors will close 1 minute before departing. Metrolink says it's to help trains stay on schedule. Platforms without accessibility ramps will close first, followed by the accessible ones. Metrolink says GO will be closely monitoring passengers' feedback to the change. Returning to our top story now, a candlelit vigil tonight at Mel Lastman Square, just one of many events across the country and right around the world, marking the 3rd anniversary of the downing of a Ukrainian airliner by Iran's Revolutionary Guard. 55 Canadians and 30 permanent residents were among the 176 people killed. Among those attending today's ceremonies were two well-known human rights activists who've long called out the regime and urged Canada to do more. They stopped by CBC News studios and spoke earlier with Natasha Fata. She asked them what this day means to them.
Before coming here, I was just walking around and was telling myself that 3 years ago, same city was full of laugh, happiness of Iranian and Canadians just, having their dinners, going to school, children getting together, talking about the latest news on Iran. But now those families are not with us, but at the same time, you see, they are shouting, the family members of them became the voice of not only for their beloved ones, for those who are inside Iran and they don't have any voice. So for me, being here, it's to show my support to the family members of Ukrainian parliament, Ukrainian airplane, but at the same time, it's like to show the rest of the world that we are united and we must get united to end the Islamic Republic, because we're not going to have justice as far as the Islamic Republic is in power.
Nazanin, talk to me about today's events and what you're hoping to achieve there.
I mean, I'm humbled to be able to be here alongside Masih and Hamed and all the other families of the deceased and demand justice, because this is long overdue. We must demand justice. We must unite to, as Masih said, see an end to the brutalities of this regime.
You know, today is very much about the anniversary, these 3 years that have passed, and so many families have not seen any justice, no real accountability. But both in the foreground and in the background are those ongoing protests. And Nazanin, you mentioned that about the brutality of this regime. It seems as though PS 752 and the protests in Iran have really intertwined to become one movement. Talk to me about that.
This is absolutely one movement, Natasha, because at the root of it, the cause of it, is a regime that doesn't value human dignity, doesn't value human life. And as we're seeing on the ground in Iran, there are sham trials, kangaroo courts, no due process, forced confessions, and basically people being lynched, as we just saw with now 4 protesters being killed. Being lynched and hung without any kind of due process. So we have to unite. This is now 44 years of a case study of the Islamic Republic, and it has failed on every level in protecting the Iranian people, because it's called the Islamic Republic, and the IRGC notably doesn't even have the word Iran. It's the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. It is tasked with protecting the Islamic Republic and the revolution, not the Iranian people.
Masih Alinjad is a women's rights activist and journalist, and Nazanin Baniati is a human rights advocate and actor. Well, meantime, Justin Trudeau has condemned supporters of former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro after they stormed Brazil's Congress, refusing to accept election results and calling for his return to power. The crowd was estimated at 3,000. Newly elected President Lula da Silva was in another city. He's now announced a 3-week federal security intervention in the capital. Stay with us. We're heading into a quick commercial break. The Buffalo Bills played their first game since that terrifying scene last Monday. You've seen the video. That's when one of their players collapsed on the field and went into cardiac arrest. Damar Hamlin's condition is now thankfully improving, sparking celebrations on the field.
Today we celebrate Damar's recovery, our love for Damar, and our gratitude. Please rise and show your support as only Bills Mafia can.
We'll keep everybody posted on Pittsburgh and Cleveland, Miami, and the Jets. We're underway as New England decided to defer after winning the toss. And here's Hines on the run back, breaking a tackle and taking it past midfield. And down the sideline he goes. This is storybook. An opening kickoff return for Damar Hamlin. And this place is absolutely going wild.
What a great way to honor their teammate. The Bills scoring a touchdown on the opening play of the game. Buffalo would win the game by a score of 35-23 over New England. Now, Bills fans are known to be among the most loyal in all of sports, and they were sending their best wishes to Hamlin before the game.
The fact that he's doing better and he's, he FaceTimed the team the other day and he's looking like he's going to be making a somewhat of a, a really good recovery and everything. That's awesome. I think that's the best outcome that you can get.
Damar, we love you so much. We're praying for you. We're so happy to see you getting better, to see you smiling, to see you making the strong arms. We're playing this game for you today. We can't wait to see you get better.
Kabir is back with us now, and tomorrow morning it's a return to reality for the kids heading back to school.
It is. And Shannon, you know what? Speaking of school, we were talking about Damar there, hopefully more sunny days ahead for him.
Yes.
But, all right, why did the teacher, Shannon, wear sunglasses to school?
Oh, again, you stumped me again. I don't know.
Because her students were so bright.
Oh, that's nice. That's a nice one, right?
Yeah, I know.
Lovely.
I know tomorrow's going to be a tough one for the kids because we're going back into our routine, folks, after the holiday season. But, of course, hopefully some nice sunny skies will be coming your way. Let's talk about what's going on for the overnight period. -5 is our temperature for the city of Toronto, warmer toward Lake Huron and Kincardine. Of course, Windsor and London, both respectively -6, cloudy skies, although it's pretty dark. You're not going to necessarily notice too much. Let's talk about what we can be expecting weather-wise. So along the shores of Georgian Bay, we could be seeing a little bit of that snowfall going into your Monday morning, but overall, relatively dry for us. We'll see some sunshine periods, of course, some sunny periods throughout our Monday. Cloud cover moving in as we go into the evening and our Tuesday as well. We'll see the clouds eventually relent later on in the week, but more cloudy days are ahead for us, folks, for Tuesday and Wednesday as well. And as I had mentioned earlier, I love pointing this out, the last time we had a nice, fully sunny day like we did yesterday, well, that was, of course, on December 21st. More of those will be in the forecast for your high tomorrow. 3 degrees is your high for the Golden Horseshoe. Over the next 7 days, potential for some snowfall, but next weekend is looking up for us for both Toronto as well as for Barrie.
I guess we're due for some snow. Thanks, Kabir. Nice having you with us.
Great to see you.
Have a great weekend. That's our show for you tonight. Thanks for watching, and we want to take you back now where we started this evening, the candlelit vigil in honor of the lives lost on this day 3 years ago in flight PS 752. You can find much more on this story on our website, cbc.ca. We'll see you again next weekend.